want to welcome you to the Parent Connection series. And we've been hosting these since September 30th, a weekly meeting that we've dedicated to our parents. My name is Denise Kreiss, and I am the Trenton Public Schools Parent Coordinator and Homeless Liaison. I just want to welcome Beverly Smith, who is the school counselor from PJ Hill, who will be leading the session tonight.
Well, thank you. Today's presentation is called Strengthening Relationships Between Home and School. And the purpose of this presentation is to challenge your core belief. And when I describe core belief, I'm talking about some of the values and character education that you've got as a child, from family, from moms, from dads, from grandmothers, from grandfathers, on parenting and the impact it has on healthy relationships with your child and school. As parents, we long for our children to grow up as caring and productive citizens. We long for our children to become independent and self-reliant as adults. As educators, we know that children must develop core values in order to become well-rounded individuals. These values and beliefs learned very early in life by parents or guardians, as I said before, grandparents, grandfathers, that kind of thing. These values and beliefs learned very early in life by parents that truly love and protect them are very valuable to us. These foundations of humanity are the responsibility of parents and guardians, as I continue to say. It is something we as human beings learn from positive adult role models, i.e. mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, brothers, neighbors, and community leaders at times. Let's take a look at the outline here. It says building parent relationships, shaping your child's core values for learning and education. Those are two pieces that are tied together. Molding positive behaviors for our children, making learning fun. It's so important for our kids to enjoy learning something new and not be afraid of it. Learning participation. We can talk about that when we're taking turns or playing games, home games at home, puzzles, watching TV, asking questions. This is your turn. You're next. And leading by example. That is so important for parents to realize that their children are constantly looking and seeing what we are doing and mimicking. What does strengthening relationships between home and school look like? Number one, parental resilience, core beliefs in alignment. We need to, if we say the right things, for example, we do not steal, we cannot take away or hurt someone and think that our children are not going to model or do what we do. So we have to be extremely careful of that. Accountability, following up and being present. If you say you're going to be at your child's game or play or science project or reading program, you have to follow through. As I said before, children do model what they see. And finally, teaching and learning, networking and goal setting, knowing if your child has a disability or has some medical issues, that we work together with the school staff. For example, the school nurse, developing a healthy relationship there. Also, the school guidance counselor, if there's something going on at home that we need to know of. Like, for example, someone passing away, a grandmother or grandfather. School counselors can be very effective in terms of helping children make that transition. And finally, we talk about our parent liaisons, some things that may be social or home issues that need some support. Many of our parent liaisons have the skills to assist parents that are struggling at that point in time. Planting seeds of character. Extremely important. I really think this is a real foundation for parents to learn. Role models, participating at school events. Extremely important. I remember growing up and looking out in the auditorium to make sure mommy and daddy were there, seeing me perform, seeing me do good things and getting praise for it. Children like that, and they inspire, and it develops character. It builds self-esteem. It's extremely important. And also, it sends a message to the teachers that you are on top of things, that you are asking those questions. No question is a bad question. Conferences, it's important to attend those conferences, asking questions about how your children are learning, if they're successful in the classroom, how they are adapting to working with other children. That socialization piece is extremely important, and parents need to know if there's something going on at home. It's extremely helpful parents, for teachers, school counselors, nurses, and even building administrators to know that there's something that a child is struggling with, and we can assist you and your child. Attending PTO activities is extremely important. Showing support. Children are modeling. They're constantly looking, and they know when mommy and daddy are participating in there. They look for you. They really, really do. Conversations. What did you learn today? You know, I call it family meetings that are so important for families to develop. And you can start by having family meetings following dinner, at a certain day or time, planning ahead at home, and talk about some of the things children are learning. A lot of times when I meet with parents, when we're having children who are having academic struggles in school, I ask them, what is your child's learning style? What do they like? What do they don't like? Do they have issues with hearing or seeing, that kind of thing? What are some of their favorite subjects? It's very telling and gives me insight on what is going on with a child. How are you feeling? Extremely important for children to know that feelings are genuine, that it's okay to disagree, it's okay to question, it's okay to challenge it. It's not okay to be disrespectful. And that's the part that children don't learn that in school, they learn it at home. Responsibility. Household chores, homework, study, projects, volunteering, extremely important for kids to learn. These are what I was talking about earlier, what are called core values. Knowing that I have a job to do. My job, I remember my dad turning around and saying to me, when I was in high school, I wanted to get a job. And he turned around and he said to me, he said, Beverly, your job is to go to school and get an education. And I kind of, as my adult self now, reflect about what those words meant. It has a totally different meaning. It means taking on something and finishing it, following through, and making sure that you're doing the best you can. Engagement, family time is extremely important. For example, cooking together with your child, watching them follow a recipe, seeing what they know about math, by cutting things together or dividing things or measuring things tells you a lot about what is going on. Is your child learning, or is he struggling? Does he understand? Does he question some of the your recipe? Can he read it? Does he understand what he's read? Games are important. Learning how to take turns, learning how to be patient and listen to others during that time. Reading, have your child read to you and you read to them. Gives you a good gauge on whether your child is struggling or not. Movie time, interesting, asking questions about what the storyline is. It's called reading comprehension. We do that a lot in school. You can do it at home. Is he listening? Is he following the directions? Does he understand the characters, what their feelings are? All those things are extremely important. And they're some of the tools we use in teaching children how to read. Demonstrating, committing, and finishing. I mentioned that before, following through. You start something, you finish it. Children need to know that core value is extremely important. And it ties into what we do with your children in school. And the last piece is love. Words are impactful. And what I mean by that is this. Sometimes when we're questioning things that children are doing, sometimes we're a little harsh. Sometimes we say things that are hurtful. Sometimes words can hit harder than a fist. And many of our little people are very, very sensitive. So we have to be very careful when we're sharing our feelings, our opinions with our young people. Positive communication. Very difficult. People think, listening is very easy. Communicating is very easy. It's a skill. It has to be taught. And the first teacher is a parent. Listening to your child, really listening. How are they feeling? What do they like? What do they don't like in a classroom? What are maybe there's something going on in terms of a child being bullied that you need to be aware of. When a child turns around and says, you know what, I did talk to you about Johnny hitting me in the cafeteria, or he, says mean things to me. Mommies and daddies definitely need to do more of this with their children. And if they feel that maybe that particular classroom is not for them, or they feel that the work is too hard, this is where listening is important. And you are parents, you are your child's first advocate. Always remember that. Understanding. Number 2, understanding means asking questions. If you don't understand what your child is trying to communicate with you, ask. Make it simple so they understand what you're trying to share with them or communicate. Understand, and sometimes you have to frame things for our little people. Oh, I understand what you mean by that. Do you mean, and play it back? So, and you'll see them. Sometimes they'll nod. Sometimes they'll say, no, that's not what I meant. Important for you to do those kinds of things. And it's important for you to share what your child is trying to communicate with you, with his teacher, with his counselor, with the school nurse. Sometimes things are going on. For example, they, have issues with their vision or hearing or following directions, that kind of thing, or writing. it's important, parents, for you to share those issues with people at the school. For example, if your child has to have what is called a child study evaluation, those kinds of observations and communications and question and answering that you do at home, share it with your those people that I just mentioned. Validating what your child is trying to say to you is extremely important. It basically means to a child that you care, that what they say is important, what they it's not being dismissive on your part, that you love them. That's what the bottom line is, that you love them. And the last thing, number 4, is respect. Every human being on this planet deserves respect. And sometimes, unfortunately, I have seen some parents not be very respectful of their little people. And we need to do a better job at that. So we need to work on that one. Positive reinforcement. Reward good behavior. And I'm not saying that we have to take them to get ice cream or McDonald's, but reward it, letting them know, give them a hug. And sometimes, take them to the park. Writing notes. It's important for you to do that. Write notes and say, hey, I heard that you did a good job in your math class today. I'm very proud of you. You make me smile. Those kinds of things really build self-esteem. It makes children feel good inside. It makes us feel good inside when we have somebody say something, compliment us, or say that, boy, I love the dress that you have worn, or the job that you're doing is really very helpful. Those kinds of things. So we need to reward our little people in many different ways. Sometimes it doesn't hurt taking to the movies, or taking them for a walk, or going to the zoo, or something that they like to do. Give them a choice. It helps them develop some decision-making skills in that endeavor. Help build self-confidence. Important thing to do. Many years ago, I worked at a Y, and I worked with teenagers. And I had a young man in my class that really he was kind of an odd young man, and he had very low self-esteem. And we would do an activity every morning, an affirmation every morning, to talk about how we felt and what was good about ourselves. And toward the end of the summer, this young man was such a joy to be around, and he had such a smile and felt very confident in what he could do, or even try. So it's important for parents to build that kind of self-confidence in our children, that they can do things. It's okay to make a mistake, that even if they make a mistake, what did you learn from it? And not feel that they're bad or they've done something wrong. Allow room for independence and growth. Extremely important. I see these skills, or this independence and growth, through activity, a lot of physical activity. For example, swimming, or gymnastics, or basketball, baseball, taking a class in music, art. All those things allow children to grow as not only in the arts, but as individuals, as I can do something. It's okay to make a mistake, but what did I learn from it? And positive discipline. A lot of times, I see some of our parents be very harsh to our children. They say things that are hurtful, especially when the child has done something not okay. I call it not okay, or misbehaved in the classroom. we're very hard sometimes, and sometimes that is not very helpful. In fact, it kind of damages a child emotionally. It kind of tears down their self-esteem and their self-worth. So what I encourage people to do is to ask the child, what did you learn from your mistake? What can you do better? And let them know that you love them. It is very important to do that. Now, I see here that I'm supposed to do what is called a positive pledge. I saw something, and I always like to write these things down. And I want to share something with you, and it's called a positive pledge. I shall no longer allow negative thoughts or feelings drain me of my energy. Instead, I shall focus on all the good that life has for me. I will think it, I will feel it, and I will speak it. By doing so, I will send out vibes of positive energy into the world, and I shall be grateful for all the wonderful things it will attract into my life and into my child's life. It's very important. How do you feel after this session? Happy, pleased, curious, and angry?